Labą diena. Didžiai gerbiama profesorė Pam Fredman, Jūsų magnificencija rektorė Inga Žalėnienė, Jūsų ekscelencija ambasadorė ir garbėjai svečiai, miela akademinė bendruomenė, kolegos, studentai ir alumnai. Sveikinu visus susirinkusius ypatingą progą. Šiandien Tarptautinės universitetų asociacijos prezidentei, profesoriai Pam Fredman, įteiksime Mykolo Romerio universiteto garbės daktaro regalijas. Pradedame šią iškilmingą ceremoniją, kuriai šiandien tenka garbė vadovauti man, kaip Mykolo Romerio senato sekretoriui. Esu Saulius Spurga, universiteto vicerektorius. Šios iškilmės toliau vyks anglų ir lotynų kalbomis. Esteemed Professor Pam Fredman, Your Magnificence Rector Professor Inga Žalėnienė, Your Excellency Ambassador and distinguished guests, dear academia, colleagues, students and alumni, welcome to Mykolas Romeris University. Today we have a very special occasion, awarding the title of Doctor Honoris Causa of Mykolas Romeris University to Professor Pam Fredman, the President of the International Association of Universities. As the Secretary of Senate, I, Saulius Spurga, Vice Rector of Mykolas Romeris University, have an honor and pleasure to be a master of this solemn ceremony. I hereby would like to declare the opening of the solemn session of the Senate and presentation of Doctor Honoris Causa of Mykolas Romeris University Regalia to Her Excellency Pam Fredman. I kindly invite Professor Romas Prakapas, the Chairman of the Senate, to announce the resolution of the Senate on the conferment of Honorary Doctorate.
Esteemed Professor Pam Fredman, Your Magnificence Rector, Your Excellency Ambassador, dear Academia, dear alumni, honorable guests. In the presence of this distinguished audience, I am honored to present the Mykolas Romeris University Senate resolution on awarding the title of Doctor Honoris Causa of Mykolas Romeris University on President of International Association of Universities, Dr. Pam Fredman. In accordance with point 33.6 of the Statute of Mykolas Romeris University, the Senate of Mykolas Romeris University on 40th of June 2022 adopted to confer the title of Doctor Honoris Causa of Mykolas Romeris University on the President of International Association of Universities, Dr. Pam Fredman, for her significant contribution enhancing the role of higher education in strengthening democracy and sustainable social development, for developing education and science policies based on humanism, promoting equal access to education for all, and reducing regional and social exclusion in education and science, for her outstanding contribution to bringing the world academic community together to address global challenges through research and to promote open access to new knowledge and scientific results, and for consistent support in opening a wide range of international academic community cooperation prospects for Mykolas Romeris University. This resolution shall enter into force on the date of its registration. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. I kindly invite Professor Odeta Merfeldaitė, the Dean of the Faculty of Human and Social Studies of Mykolas Romeris University, to take a floor and to present our Doctor Honoris Causa achievements and biography.
Esteemed Professor Pam Fredman, Your Magnificence Rector, Professor Inga Žalėnienė, Your Excellency Ambassador, honorable guests. It's a great honor and pleasure for me to introduce an outstanding member of academic community, an extraordinary personality, Professor Dr. Pam Fredman, President of the International Association of Universities. Professor Pam Fredman has extensive experience in academic leadership. Pam Fredman started her professional career in neurochemical science and became a distinguished professor of neurochemistry in Sweden. She enhanced her academic experience with her active membership in national and international scientific organizations and academies, as well as her extensive participation in academic committees for scientific research, projects, institutions, and scientific journals. I would like to start my introductory speech by revealing significant contribution of the esteemed professor to the science of neurochemistry. Professor Fredman's contribution to the field of neurochemical science is proven not only by the professor's rich academic and scientific experience, but also by more than 170 scientific articles in internationally highly cited peer-reviewed scientific journals. The professor has also served as a board member of national and international scientific organizations and academies, Swedish Medical Research Council, International Society of Neurochemistry. She was member of European Federation of Neurology. Professor Fredman was involved in decision-making bodies of international research projects, higher education institutions, and internationally reviewed scientific journals. From 2006 to 2017, the professor was elected rector of Göteborg University. Since 2006, Professor Fredman is a board member of the Wallenberg Foundation, the largest private research funding agency in Sweden, and chair of several international and interdisciplinary centers of Karolinska Institute, University of Göteborg, as well as director of Göteborg Center for Sustainable Development. Since 2008, Professor Fredman is a member of Royal Swedish Academy of Engineering Science. Along her scientific activities, it's necessary to highlight Professor's contribution to mobilizing the world's academic community to solve global problems, conducting scientific research and promoting open access to new knowledge and scientific results. Since 2016, Professor Fredman has been the president of the International Association of Universities, actively augmenting cooperation between universities in different countries in order to ensure the accessibility and internationality of higher education. It is necessary to mention Professor Fredman's great work in the formation of education and science policy based on the principles of humanism, which encourage creating equal opportunities for everyone to pursue education, reducing regional and social segregation in the field of education and science. As the president of the International Association of Universities, Professor Fredman pays great attention to the consolidation of the efforts of the international scientific community in solving global challenges, the development of the international dimension in the national higher education systems, paying great attention to improvement the quality of higher education and its accessibility, creating learning sustainable community. Professor Fredman paid great attention to life learning issues. This is reflected in her publication, which analyzes the person-centered approach in the aging society. Learning, it's not one-time and finite learning experience. We are exposed to it and practice it continuously throughout life, perceiving learning as integral part of human being and self-building exercise. Therefore, as noted in the International Association of University documents, the main task of education is to develop society's ability to learn by thinking and reflecting. As a result, of which a change in behavior, approaches, and attitudes is possible. I'm happy to mention that in her high administrative position, Professor Fredman closely cooperates with Mykolas Romeris University. Rector of Mykolas Romeris University, Professor Dr. Inga Žalėnienė, is a member of the board of the International Association of Universities. Close international cooperation is broadening horizon of higher education based on the knowledge, innovation, and creativity. International Association of University advocates for higher education as a global common good, essential to the development of sustainable societies. The President of International Association of University, Professor Pam Fredman's leadership highlights the role of universities as a key actors, contributing to creating a sustainable future for our planet and for the future generations. Closing this very brief overview of the numerous achievements of Professor Pam Fredman, I would like to note that fellow researchers and academics respond very warmly about President of International Association of Universities, Professor of Neurochemistry Pam Fredman, emphasizing her democratic work style and professionalism. Our university community is happy to welcome a person whose international activities and moral values inspire academic youth to pursue knowledge and noble goals. I express my gratitude to you, dear Professor, for bringing us together today to celebrate such an important day. Your leadership and professionalism allow us to believe that the importance of education and science will be constantly recognized, and the attention paid to it will only grow. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you, Professor. I invite Professor Pam Fredman and Rector of Mykolas Romeris University. Dear students, please bring a graduation gown, a cap, and a scarf of the Doctor Honoris Causa. Now I invite a student of Mykolas Romeris University to read the text of the Honorary Doctorate diploma in Latin.
Universitas Mykolas Romeris sumis auspiciis. Senatus Universitatis Mykolas Romeris, Presidem Congregationis Internationalis Universitatum, Doctorem Professorem Pam Fredman, Pro magnis meritis ad significationem literarum crescendum in progresso democratia, atque societatis consonsi. Ad res politicas educationis literarumque, secundum humanitatem formandas, atque providendas, ut pares opportunitates omnibus educatione, reduciendis segregationem, socialem, regionalemque, in aria scientifica facte sint. Atque ad accessus, apertus, scientiis novis. Conclusionibus scientificis movendis, et firmamenta perpetua procuranda per cooperationem academicam internationalem Universitatis Mykolas Romeris. Doctor Honoris Causa Universitatis Mykolas Romeris declaravit. Quod bonum Faustum Felix fortunatum quesit. Rector Universitatis, Professor Dr. Inga Žalėnienė.
I kindly invite our new Doctor Honoris Causa, Pam Fredman, to deliver her speech. Your Excellency, the floor is yours.
So, dear Rector Magnifica, Inga, and His Excellency Ambassador, colleagues, honorable guests, and students, and I must say from the beginning, I'm so proud. It's a great honor for me to receive this award, the title of Doctor Honoris Causa of Mykolas Romeris University. To be selected, a title that has been bestowed upon many highly respected individuals with different backgrounds who in various ways stands up for common values such as peace and freedom, human rights, democracy, the equal right and value of the individual with international global perspectives, and the role of universities they have in fostering and supporting a societal development in alignment with those values. These values are in the heart of my engagement at the work in higher education. The importance of research and education to create new, develop and disseminate in current knowledge and provide competence. I have had the privilege to experience many academic positions in the university sector and currently the president for International Association of Universities. Of this university is a member, and as said before, I have had the great privilege to work with Rector Inga for 6 years. I will present a global perspective and my own reflections on the role of higher education, its challenges, but also opportunities to take on its unique role and unique societal role, highlighting actions needed to strengthen the awareness of and respect and support for higher education in society at large, not at least among politicians and policymakers, to recognize higher education as a public good in support of sustainable democratic societal development and to foster peace, to save the planet for the next generation. And this is also what the International Association of Universities promotes. The IAU was founded under the auspices of Unesco in December 1950. And we should remember that this was in a response to university leaders' concern on threats on the role of universities and the relevance of fostering democracy and peace. They saw the need of an international university community, global voice for higher education, and their concerns are even today highly relevant. International Association of Universities is the global forum for leaders of higher education and organizations from around the world, an independent, non-governmental membership organization. And it convenes and connects almost 600 members from 130 countries around the world. In support of UNESCO, IAU uphold the World Higher Education Database, which comprise authoritative information on some 20,000 higher education accredited around the world, higher educations in education systems and credentials in 196 countries and territories. It is globally recognized as an official source of information to authorities, governments, and organizations. Why do I highlight this? I highlight the database to bring awareness of the huge number of higher education institutions worldwide, which maintains access to higher education around the world and still not sufficient for the needs. Relatively few, often just some hundreds of these, are among those being ranked in different systems, and they will not be able to fulfill the societal needs of higher education, neither nationally or globally. Thus, there is a responsibility for all universities, not at least to the top ranked, to share and exchange knowledge and competence in support of quality and capacity building in higher education in all societies. International cooperation in research and education that must extend beyond the Western Hemisphere, West, East, and South, North. In this context, United Nations has clearly declared in connection to the Agenda 2030 and the Sustainable Development Goals the key role of higher education and education at all levels and in all societies. As the Agenda 2030 has been ratified by the governments in 193 countries, there is a global commitment to support higher education. Another global support for the key role of higher education is the UNESCO Future of Education initiative, with the aim to support how to rethink education for shaping the future. At the UNESCO World Higher Education Conference this spring, the report Reimagining Our Future Together, a new societal contract for education was launched. A social contract to repair injustices while transforming to the future, to strengthen education as a public endeavor and common good. So my own reflection, I will start with the value-based higher education. The unique role of universities to provide knowledge and competence through research and education built on fundamental values and principles. Academic freedom, institutional autonomy, equity in access to education and knowledge, tolerance to divergent opinions, freedom of political interference. United Nations, UNESCO, European Higher Education Area, Ministers of Europe, European Association of Universities, Magna Carta Observatory, and IAU, among many others, promote and defend these values for higher education to best fulfill their societal role. However, we do see an increased populism, de-democratization around the world. Today, more than 50% of the countries are led by authoritarian regimes or are undergoing democratization, often accompanied with governmental and sometimes also societal questioning and even denial of these values. This is occurring also in Europe and in countries nearby. and this is affecting international cooperation in research and education. Are universities ready to abstain from student exchange from countries and institutions demanding curricular control, to ensure students' rights to high-quality disciplinary education, but also to develop skills to be creative, innovative, analytical, and with critical thinking? In line with the social contract for a sustainable democratic future, university must also reflect on the commodification of international students, the dependence on tuition fees, which was highly relevant during the pandemic. Are universities ready to abstain research cooperation when freedom to publish is restricted by any part, where ethical jurisdictions and moral concerns are in contradictions with the fundamental values? The threats to academic freedom, freedom of expression, human rights, and tolerance is also occurring within the universities. We do see students in strong opposition to curricular content related to ideological or religious grounds. Threats to teachers from students and external stakeholders on similar grounds, and faculties being dismissed on these grounds. The number of scholars at risk is increasing, and universities in many countries can take actions to help these scholars, not at least for them to be prepared to go back and build higher education in their home countries when the situation allows. My own experience is that these scholars also bring added value to research and education at their home host institutions. I will also draw attention to the fact that there is an increasing intolerance of divergent views among scientists, which is contradictory to the ground for scientific development and to foster respect for critical thinking. In this global movement, universities must take responsibility to bring awareness and understanding of the importance of academic freedom, freedom of expression, tolerance, etc., for universities to provide new knowledge through independent research and to educate students with disciplinary competence, but also creative analytical skills and critical thinking. Living those values within the institution is crucial and must be supported by the leadership. The second reflection is on the transformation in higher education to the digital era. The pandemic pushed the already ongoing development of technology and digitalization in higher education, and there are many lessons learned which must guide us for the future development. Campus education was closed in almost all countries, and universities forced to transfer to online education. The preparedness for this transition was diverse in infrastructure capacity, socioeconomic capacity, and teachers' pedagogical skills, etc. The consequences of the pandemic highlighted the inequality in possibilities to digital transition between regions, countries, and also within countries. However, at the same time have opened new opportunities to increase access to higher education and thereby societal equality and capacity building. Research cooperations, projects, conferences, and seminars also went online with its pros and cons. Among the pros is the increased inclusiveness, opening up for faculties and students, which for various reasons cannot attend meeting either in another part of their region, but more often international meetings. Reason behind could be lack of financial support, visa issues, social and family responsibilities. Another pros is the access to high-quality conferences and seminars all around the world, supporting the invaluable research sharing and research cooperation between all continents. Distinguished keynote speakers are now sharing their knowledge much more widely due to less time consuming for the speaker and less costly for the inviting university, and in line with the reducing climate footprint without losing international cooperation. The online transformation has thus in many aspects positively affected inequality and in particular gender inequality. Women in most countries taking on more of social and family responsibility, which might hamper their possibility to attend meeting even beyond travel. Cons is that the value of face-to-face interaction between individuals is hampered, such as opening for the not forcing questions, new contacts, networking, and in my own reflection, maybe in particular hampering young and less known researchers to establish new connections. The latter is important for their development as independent researchers and research leaders. We need to develop and take advantage of digitalization as a complement and not a replacement in research and education and also in societal cooperation. New technology and digitalization provides many opportunities for university to jointly and in cooperation act in providing and developing quality research and education in all parts. University has to rethink its internationalization, a base for its activity, taking advantage of new technologies as a complement to physical mobility, an important step to equip all societies for a sustainable future. The digital transformation must be done with eyes on and respect for quality, equality, ethics, and not at least security and legacy. And the latter not at least important in the context of open science and open access. There is an increasing need for legal expertise at the universities and international cooperation in this area. The third reflection is on the university's societal responsibility. Universities have been around for centuries, providing new knowledge and competence to society at large. They have been responded to and taken responsibility for societal challenges, often unpredicted and unforeseen, changes occurring on regional or global level. Most recent examples are pandemic and the invasion of Ukraine. As discussed above, the rapid transfer from campus to online in education and research cooperation. The universities that with strong and rapid efforts of and willingness to take care and support students and faculties that with short notice must flee Ukraine. The pandemic, regional conflicts, and the climate change all have global consequences and underpin the interconnection between the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. To reach the goals and realize the Agenda 2030, to meet the global challenges, cooperation is required within the universities, including interdisciplinarity, between universities and public sectors and civil society. There is no one model for cooperation. However, to be successful, it must be based on mutual interest, trust, and respect for each participant's prerequisites and regulations. For the university, this means that they must be respected for its fundamental values, and in my opinion, one has to refrain collaboration that does not fulfill this criteria. Cooperation will increase universities' understanding of and needs in societies, bring higher education closer to practitioners, and improve research and education with new perspectives and with interdisciplinary approaches. To facilitate implementation of knowledge to societies and prepare students for working life, to cooperate without compromising with academic freedom, its fundamental values and principles, and its unique role. Among the uniquities of universities is to perform basic curiosity research with which scientific value and societal impact might be recognized many, many decades later. Universities must be supported, and not at least financially, to perform basic curiosity research. And we have a recent example. The most extraordinary rapid development of vaccine to COVID-19 on the market would not have happened without decades of basic research in virology, vaccine development, etc., and the competence in the pharmaceutical companies to develop the findings. Innovations, not at least social innovations, are crucial for societal development, with economic, ecological, and societal perspectives. It is important to recognize that most innovations take place in the private and public sectors and/or in cooperation with the universities, and requires competence and creativity and transdisciplinarity. Thus, higher education in all disciplines and in interdisciplinary contexts must be provided and accessible to students with capacity and interest, regardless of socioeconomic backgrounds. University must also provide education, courses, and programs in lifelong learning. Those who want to change professional field, extended knowledge needed in the work life requested by employer, or foreseen by the individual, him or herself. So, in summary, there are challenges for the future of universities, but also opportunities. The societies with the long term always need knowledge creation and development and education to be equipped to take actions with local relevance and global responsibility for a sustainable future for the next generations. Hopefully, the role and recognition of universities to foster democracy and must be defended and promoted. University must continue to be internationally and jointly bring awareness and understanding of its unique contribution to society, to be there for each other when students and faculties are threatened, to cooperate for necessity and research and education in all parts of the world. So, to be given the Honoris Causa title at your university is for me an appreciation of international cooperation in higher education, and that this university is and will to continue to be part of forming the future of universities, to in cooperation and cohesion meet societal needs of knowledge and competence without compromising academic freedom, freedom of expression, human rights, equality, tolerance, and ethics. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Doctor Honoris Causa Pam Fredman, for your inspiring speech. I kindly invite Her Excellency the Ambassador of Sweden to the Republic of Lithuania, Inger Linnea Buxton, to give a welcoming speech.
Magnificent Rector, Chairman of the Senate, members of the Senate, professors, staff and students of the university, Professor Pam Fredman. It's a great pleasure for me to be here today and to be part of this award ceremony. As a representative of the Swedish government here in Lithuania, I take great pride in a person like Professor Fredman for her contribution to higher education in Sweden for many years, as well as her dedicated work to international cooperation, and not least in her role as President of the International Association of Universities. A warm congratulations, Professor, to this important award. At the time when the world is facing a number of challenges of climate change, loss of biodiversity, pandemics like we are just hopefully coming out of, and a number of other diseases and health issues, as well as the Russian aggression against Ukraine threatening international peace and security. And we are also seeing, as your professor was outlining, that democracy and human rights are being undermined in questions in many parts of the world. We are also seeing that scientific research and knowledge are being questioned. And even more important then, that we stand up for the democratic principles, facts based on scientific research and international cooperation between state actors, the academic world, civil society, and the business community. Professor Fredman, you have been a champion of promoting global development goals of the 2030 Agenda to strengthen democracy and equal rights and opportunities, and reducing inequalities and exclusion. contributing to achieve very much actually the Swedish foreign policy objectives for a healthier, more sustainable and peaceful world. And these are values and objectives that Sweden and Lithuania together are working to promote and to achieve through our bilateral cooperation at many different levels of society, where the academic sector and the academic institutions play a very important part. And this is also something we do, of course, in the European Union, the UN, and through other international organizations. I would therefore like to thank you, Professor Fredman, as well as the Mykolas Romeris University, for your contribution to international cooperation between Sweden and Lithuania, as well as global cooperation in general. And also thank you so much for all your inspiring work, Professor. I'm so honored to be here today.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Now I kindly invite all the participants of the solemn ceremony to sing the International Students' Anthem.